We will be going live in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Good morning, Owasso. This is the Twins with Owasso Live, and this is the Morning Loop. It is currently 8 a.m. like normal. It is 62 degrees outside, and expect rain today. It's not too chilly just yet, but the wind does look like it's starting to pick up. So again, be advised. You better have a rain jacket or something prepared because it's probably going to be on and off all day today, and we expect some pretty heavy winds as well. So, that being said, traffic conditions are fair. There's no real traffic congestion or issues at all. It wasn't even bad this morning when I drove in at 7:30ish. It was pretty flowing pretty easy. There's only a slight little jam up over there by over 76th Street on that on ramp for a very short time, and it just cleared up right away. So I don't know what's going on. I guess everyone learned how to drive, or no one goes to Tulsa to work anymore. So your commute into Tulsa, if you haven't left yet, it's looking pretty good. So enjoy that and drive safe this morning. And now, as far as local events goes, what do we got going on today, Chad?
All right, here's what I've got showing on our stuff today. I have got on the chamber side of events, I have the 2024 Owasso Economic Summit Luncheon, which that is today from 10:30 to 1 p.m. at the Tulsa Tech Community College, or the Tulsa Tech Center up there the road.
That's a long meeting.
Yes, it is. And then on the 26th for Owasso Chamber page, we have the Jimmy Egg ribbon cutting, which I should be able to make it to that one.
Okay, good deal. Good deal.
All right, and then that is it on the chamber side. As for Owasso isms, today. It looks like the last day for that charity, or that not charity, the art event
Gala,
at the high
yeah.
school. So the art gala at the high school. Today's the last day for that. Then the St. Henry's community meals is today as well. Then the 5K orphan run is on the 27th at 9:15 a.m. Then on the 29th is the Veterans of Fort Royal inaugural golf tournament.
Okay, good deal.
And last but not least, Bunko for a Cause on the 30th. And that's all there is on Owassoisms for this month.
All right, fantastic. Well, we'll push back into more local related news. Like I said, again, going into the tornadic weather. So it is the season for it. We've gotten lucky so far. But again, we are expecting some scattered thunderstorms and showers. And I'm betting with all that information I put up yesterday, the atmospheric conditions are probably pretty volatile and are primed for bad weather. Now, let's hope we don't get any extra wind. But again, make sure you have a plan in place for if bad weather does happen, whether or not it happens in the day. Make sure you have a plan when you're at work. Make sure you have a plan for your family, whether they're at school, work, or if your kids go home early from school and they're home alone. Make sure they have a plan as well. So be ready for this bad stint of weather we have blowing in for the rest of this week. So be prepared for that. But it looks like it might have the major supercells might be actually forming further north up in Kansas instead of over us. So I think we might be on the good side today. So just wanted to throw that little tidbit of information out there. Regardless, have a good plan in place and make sure you have an emergency planned and for everything.
And the only other kind of news that I would have is the OKC Thunder absolutely dominated the Pelicans last night in their other playoff game. And it was, let me see, I just put it down. It's 124-94. So we just wrecked them this time.
Hopefully OKC just sweeps them and stays healthy. No injuries happen during this early in the playoffs. So let's go OKC. Let's Thunder up, baby. Now, let's push on more to national news and kind of what the topic or what we were talking about in the title of today's video. The problems we wish we could have blown away. So if you haven't been seeing on the news, and you have to be, you've got to be sick of it the way I am. It's crazy how much these protests are kicking off in places like New York. When we talked about that professor being barred from the school, the Jewish professor, there's pro-Hamas, pro-Palestine, it's basically the same thing, pro-Hamas protests popping up all over the country now. You had it in Colombia, you have it in New York, you have it in Austin, Texas. So you have all these people occupying, which is ironic because they think Israel occupiers, but the Palestinian protesters are becoming occupiers now. So it's just very ironic. They're not very smart, and we'll show it you too. Most of the people who go to these protests actually have no idea what they're talking about. There's 1%, maybe 10% of the people do, and there's 1% that are 100% pro Hamas, 100% pro terrorism, 100% anti-Jewish, anti-Semitic, and there's a 10% that know somewhat of the history, but the vast majority, we're talking 90% of people, have no clue what they're protesting for. All they know is that Israel is the representation of the West. Therefore, if Israel is the representation of the West in America, they hate that. So that's what they're there for. They don't really know what they're protesting. They're just there saying, it's just bored college students, bored liberal arts majors. That's what this is. If you see any people who, especially if they're white people, let's be honest, like they're liberal arts majors and they're just there because they're bored and they're looking for a cause. Like I said, it's what I call the God gap. They're godless. They don't have any real motivations. Like, so leftism or their ideology, their political ideology becomes their religion. So that's why they're there. So if you got that video pulled up, Chad, and you can play, so just play it whenever you're ready. And
hang on, let me bring up the sound on the computer.
Yeah, but watch these two college girls explain what they're protesting. It is indicative of what I would imagine 90% of the people there.
All right, here we go. And play.
Main goal with tonight's protest?
I think the goal is just showing our support for Palestine and demanding that NYU stops. I honestly don't know all of what NYU's doing.
Is there something that NYU's doing?
I really don't know. I'm pretty sure they're... Do you know what NYU's doing? About what? About Israel. Why are we protesting here?
Palestine will be free!
I wish I was more educated. I'm not either.
Oh.
I came from Colombia. I was there out at Colombia, and we came down. They said NYU students needed our support. So I came down. I heard there's lots of cops. Some people were saying it was getting dangerous.
And what would you say is the main...
I have no clue what they're there for. I don't know. I need to educate myself more on this issue. God. Ridiculous.
But yeah, so that is what I would say is indicative of 90% of the people there. Whenever you see, like, go watch any street interviews of people being interviewed. There will be other people that go up to people. No, don't talk to them. Don't talk to the media. Don't talk to the cameras, because the vast majority of people there, especially the agitators, know that the vast majority of people there do not know what they're talking about. They don't know the history of the region. They don't really know what happened on October 7th, and those people that do know are celebrating it. So there is a lot of people there just going because it's something to do. It's pretty crazy. And again, if you watch street interviews of these people, whenever like folks ask, like, I mean, I've seen Constantine, from Trigonometry go out there and be like, I would like to interview you about what you're protesting here for Palestine and all this. And there'll be other people that will come up and go, no, don't talk to him. Don't interview him. We don't talk, because they know that they don't have a leg to stand on when it comes to why they're out there protesting. They're out there because of they hate Jews. And remember, in Hamas's charter, it says that they want Israel, Judenrein, clear of Jews. I mean, if you can't even attempt to say you're going to live with your enemies, then there's no hope for peace.
Ironically, they're claiming that they're causing it, that the Israelis are causing a genocide, despite the fact that their population has increased like significantly.
Yes.
And then but their charter also calls for
the destruction of Israel.
A genocide.
Yes.
It's ridiculous.
So accuse your enemies of what you yourself do. That's what this is. Again, there is no it's not a secret that the Islamic religion hates Jews. I mean, they're in their religious verses that they had to get removed. It said that we will not stop until every rock and every tree shouts, there is a Jew behind me. Come kill him. This is what we're dealing with when it comes to these conflicts. So that's why you have to again, do you have to appreciate it? Do you think Israel could handle the war in maybe a better way? Sure. But if you're looking at it from my perspective, I'm looking at it from General Grant taking Vicksburg perspective. You have to cut all supplies off. You have to destroy the morale of these people, crush their will to fight. Because as long as there's a will, there's a way. If there's a will, there's a way. But if you crush their, like, when people are hungry, when people are starving, when people are thirsty, and then if there are good men of moral character, which Hamas does not have any good men of moral character, they would sacrifice I think Hamas would sacrifice the entire country of Palestine in order to make the Jews look as horrible as possible, make Israel look as horrible as possible.
Yes, they would.
Because all the other Islamic countries around them would just team up on them. Now remember, other countries like Egypt are not accepting any Palestinian refugees. Jordan's not accepting any Palestinian refugees. Why? Because they don't want to deal with them. They actually all hate each other. There is no onerous put on the countries that surround Israel. It's just always Israel's fault. It's like, if you all hate Israel so much, why don't you just accept all these people who also dislike Israel into your countries, and you guys can team up and come up with a better strategy?
Why does Israel have to accept the refugees when there's countries that literally share the same religion right next door? Doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Why you have more in common with the Palestinians than the Israelis do?
That's true. That's true. But again, we all know that the Islamic cultures hate each other. They cannot stand each other. If Islam was a religion of peace, why are they always fighting each other in the Middle East?
Not wrong.
Yeah. So that's where I'm at with that. So those college girls are indicative of the vast majority of protesters and people's understanding. Like, when you talk to people about this conflict, those college girls are indicative of what the vast majority of people know and understand about the conflict.
That is what the average American's take on the Israel-Palestine conflict is.
I'm just here because we wanted to protest. It's like, okay, cool, wow, way to go. Just out there wasting your time because you're bored and you have nothing to do. You're filling the God gap is what I call it. So let's push on to the continued indoctrination for pro-Hamas, pro-Palestine stuff. Go to the...
drag queen.
Yeah. So, again, for those of you who don't know, whenever you get the video pulled up in Prime, just let me know. But
it's Prime and ready to go.
Hold on. So let me preface it this. So I had a friend, and he was in charge of, like, the Tulsa public.
Yeah, the green area.
Yeah, the greens, like, you know, like the new area. But it was his job to, this was back in like 2014, 2015. He was getting, I remember talking to him and just being shocked that his job was to recruit drag queen story hour people to read to kids at the Tulsa Public Library. And he would say, I dismissed like 90% of the applicants. And I was like, why is that? Because they all had obvious drug addiction showing, like, because they had, you know, needle marks all over their arms.
I remember that. He said that was he didn't like to do it anyway, but the ones that he did approve
were the
had
ones
to
that
be
didn't have
ones that did not have any
obvious
needle marks. Yep.
And again, they all had needle marks, but they didn't have obvious needle marks all over, obvious signs of drug addiction. That's all these trans people that come to read to kids. So now you get to see a trans, if you haven't seen it before, you haven't been outraged by it, we're going to show you a video right now of a trans person at a public library doing trans reading story time hour, and he's inciting the kids to do a pro-Palestine chant. So go ahead and play the video.
If you're a drag queen and you know it, shout Free Palestine. If you're a drag queen and you know it and you really want to show it, you're a drag queen and you know it, shout Free Palestine. Excellent. Today what we're going to do is we're going to shout Free Palestine. Can I hear that? Free Palestine.
Yeah, that's it. Just free Palestine. Having like these kids look anywhere from like 4 to like 8 years old. That's how young they are.
If you wonder why there are so many dumb, ignorant, white, left liberal kids out there doing pro-Palestine chants, it's quite interesting. You wonder where this came from, why this came out of nowhere. It's because of things like this transgender storytime stuff. I mean, this is how much it's influencing culture. I mean, it was nothing but, TikTok is nothing but anti-Israel stuff right now. China's forcing that stuff. China wants to get rid of Israel. So this is a problem. And if you don't think it's a problem, I don't know what rock you're living under. I don't know if you're just got your head buried in the sand. But this is a huge issue. And that right there, what's funny about this whole thing is trans people for Palestine. Let me tell you something. If you are gay, lesbian, or trans, and you go to Palestine, you will be surprised at how quickly you find yourself being hung from a flagpole or thrown off a building. It's like that video we showed yesterday, Charlie Kirk, and that guy talking about how there's this toxic relationship in the States between Islam and homosexuals. But I mean, it's the other video that we showed where it's, you know, the in Little Mogadishu, they banned the pride flag. And that's here in the States. It's like Islam does not like homosexuals. Islam does not like transgenderism. And all these folks are for it because they view the world through, again, their godless morality, their oppressor versus oppressed mentality.
Well, it even comes back to, I remember that one video that Ben Shapiro had where he went back to UCLA to talk to there. And he's like,
you must have forgotten how high they hang gays in Palestine.
There's only one place in the Middle East that you could live freely and openly, and that would be Israel. And why are you advocating for countries who actively would kill you?
Yes. Queers for Palestine. More like chickens for KFC. I mean, you are voting for your own destruction by supporting these people. They're just using you because you're a useful idiot. It's the same as these people that set themselves on fire for Palestine. They're like, oh, sweet. You're talking Westerners are burning themselves alive for Palestine? That's awesome. We're killing two birds with one stone. This is great. So, it's just nuts. The religion of peace. So let's push on to a follow-up story about Bishop Mar Amari. If you remember, Bishop Mar Amari was the bishop that had that Islamic boy run up and try to stab him. Or no, did stab him. The knife didn't actually open up all the way, thank goodness, so he only received minor injuries, and other people who were trying to pull the assailant off of Bishop Mar Amari got stabbed as well. So several people were stabbed. The Assyrian Christians there, they were hot. They were out there protesting. They wanted the boy's head. And it turns out the boy wasn't acting alone. Apparently the police there have discovered connections with some criminal enterprise rings there. So why don't you pull it up?
I've got it pulled up right now.
All right, you play it, and the police chief will tell you herself.
All right. It is
between the alleged offender and a network of associates and peers who we believe shared a similar violent extremist ideology. At this stage, 7 people, all juveniles, have been arrested, and a further 5 are assisting police with our inquiries. Part of our JCTT investigation into the alleged Wakely stabbing, we identified links between the alleged offender and a network of associates.
They've found links between them and network of associates. So
there you go.
This was not.
This
is homegrown type,
This was not a lone wolf. This was not this boy had mental illness. This boy had probably gone to some type of mosque, and there were radical preachers there encouraging bad behavior, being like, again, remember, Islam is spread by the sword. It is not spread by peace. It's not like convert and be happy. You can convert to Islam without being spread by the sword, but this is a religion that was ultimately spread by the sword by Muhammad. Remember, Allah or God is not the key figure in the Quran. Muhammad is. Like, that's why this is a really strange religion. Muhammad is more important than God in their religion. I mean, why can't you draw pictures of Muhammad? Can I attempt to draw a picture of God? And that's okay in that religion, but Muhammad's not. Like, why is he more sacred than their God? Why is he more talked about than their God? So it's just very interesting. Very, very interesting. And again, all this is connected. Crowder did Stephen Crowder, or Louder with Crowder, was talking about how all the college, like the number one funder of the majority of college education right now, or education in general, is the Middle East. It's the UAE. It's I can't remember the other country. I can't remember the name, but The primary funding of college education is coming from the Middle East.
The United Arab Emirates.
Yeah. So they are the primary funders of education here in the United States. And we wonder why all these kids are protesting. There is money, and all these organizations like CARE, Islamic youth programs, like they are all funding this. These are all, not all of them are terrorist cells, but they're helping and facilitating the funding of terrorist cells and encouraging the worst behaviors in the Quran.
Yep.
So that's what's happening right now. If the primary funding of education here in the U.S. is coming from the Middle East, you know we got a problem. We should not allow colleges to accept foreign donations anymore. Like, nope. Just let successful people here in the States fund it. We don't need outside money coming. I mean, again, this is the problem, though. I mean, colleges have turned into a business. They don't actually produce anything of value. This is what happens whenever colleges, like, I mean, Texas Tech just built that lazy river because they get unlimited subsidies from the government to be like, well, this lazy river is going to help better educate students. What is a lazy river? Like, why is making a water park going to make it makes your college more desirable to go to and waste 4 years of your time at?
Yep.
But it's not going to help better these kids' education.
Yep. College is a place to go attack and dissect ideas. It's not a place to just hang out and have fun.
Yeah. You can have fun, but I mean, like, the whole point is you can go off campus and have fun. You can go and drink at bars, or you can go and do social events outside of campus. Like, the campus itself should just be a learning institution. So, it's just nuts. And that's what we're dealing with. Again, so beware of the spread of radical Islam right now, folks, because that is why there are so many foolish people on the side of Hamas and Palestine right now. Now, I am not for innocent civilians getting killed, but in order to win conflicts, you have to crush morale. You have to go the U.S. Grant type of fighting that they did in Vicksburg. You got to put down the rebellions. You have to starve them out. You have to crush the morale. And again, you have to realize we're dealing with fanatics over there in the Middle East. Like, they do not care. They would sacrifice the entire 3 million population to starvation and death in order to make Israel look as bad as possible. This is a no-win situation for Israel.
Yeah.
We don't conduct warfare by the ways we used to. I mean, warfare in the Bible times, they'd go in and say, kill every male child and take the women prisoners. Like, if you did that, there would be no more conflict because the people who were invested in the conflict, they'd be gone. That was warfare the way it was supposed to be fought back in the day. Biblical times.
The whole idea of warfare being more civil, of just soldiers attacking soldiers, is a new concept. It's really a new concept. I mean, the Geneva Convention is relatively new.
Yes, yeah. I mean, it's very
in the span
new.
of history.
Well, even this, for all of you folks who think that there is a wonderful, peaceful way to come out and do war, I will tell you this. I have a close friend who went into Afghanistan. And he was one of those people that was like, yes, we're here. We're going to do good. We're going to help these people. And we're going to be a force of good here in Afghanistan. And we're going to make these people's lives better. Guess what? By the end of his deployment, he had done a 180 on his opinions when he first arrived. He went from giving the kids MREs and candy out of his food packs and water to... He was ready to take pot shots at him at the end of going, get away from me. I don't want you to be anywhere close to me. Because of what they do. The kids are just as much as easy to be combatants or informants as adults are. And when when food is something that you want at the end of the day, or you don't want to get beat up by an older person who knows that you sell DVDs on an army base, you'll tell them whatever you can just to get away from them. It's like, what do they do at noon? The kids will give them that information. I'll be like, I'll take pictures. So by the end of that deployment, my buddy was like, no, I'm done. I'll take pot shots at these kids to make them go away from me. I don't want anything to do with it. And a lot of people be like, oh, that's monstrous. That's crazy. No, it's not. Because when you're there and you're in the environment, you're with your friends and they're going down and getting shot, it changes your perception of the people around you.
Yeah, people who judge them are always quick to judge them and say they could have done something different. Like, walk a mile in someone else's shoes before you just go judge them for what their actions were.
Yeah, well, especially in war, in conflict zones. Everyone's like, oh, we just need to be peaceful. I mean, the kids will eat gumdrop rainbows and they'll be your friends. It's like, no, they're there and they could be gathering information on you. Telling the enemy when you're going to be heading out, what times you head out, so they can set up an ambush for you.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the way it is, folks. I mean, you cannot believe everything you hear. And again, don't trust Hamas. All the numbers you hear from Palestine are probably fake, because they don't have any reason to tell the truth. Like I said, they're winning the PR battle in Hamas in Palestine. It's where anytime, again, if that happened here in the U.S., you can, and I was involved in military strategy, I'd be like, oh, it'd be no surrender, unconditional surrender and wrath of the Almighty kind of stuff. So, just keep that in mind as we move forward, and you understand why the ridiculousness of these pro-Palestine, pro-Hamas protests. Don't feel bad for them. Don't encourage them. I mean, these people don't know what they're doing. Speaking of people who don't know what they're doing, why don't you pull up the final little video we have of Joe Biden, and we can end on a high note today.
Absolutely. Give me 1 second. I'm pulling it up right now. There we go. And we'll hold off on all the other stuff for next week, I'm assuming.
Yeah, we can hold on.
Excellent. Then I will pull this up real quick and transition back to the little screen.
Yeah, this video of Joe Biden is just, it's indicative of his presidency at the moment, so.
Hey, you ready?
Yeah.
All right, let's do it.
Show us what you got.
Next. 4 more years. Pause. 4 more years. 4 more years. 4 more years. Imagine what we can do next.
Imagine if we could do that.
4 more years. Pause. 4 more years. 4 more years. 4 more.
And just to show you what we thought of when we saw that part.
Yeah.
Well, that's going to do it for all of us here at Channel 4 News. You stay classy, San Diego. I'm Ron Burgundy.
Damn it! Who typed a question mark on the teleprompter? For the last time, anything you put on that prompter, Burgundy will read.
Anything you put on that prompter, Joe Biden will read.
So true.
That's good stuff.
I love it, man. Well, that's about all we've got for you today, folks. This has been the Twins with Owasso Live. This was the Morning Loop. I hope that everyone has a wonderful day. God bless y'all out there.
See you later, everybody.